Hello everyone. Welcome to this presentation of the new version of Heredis, Heredis 2026. I'm Helen from Heredis, a genealogist and tester, and I'm going to introduce you to the new features. With this version, you will embrace your history in the broad sense. The first new feature is the ability to enter multiple surnames. Let me explain. Entering a simple surname, for example Smith, is straightforward. Just enter the surname. Entering a double-barreled name has always been possible in Heredis using a hyphen. For example, Jane took her partner's name when she married. I entered Smith hyphen Carpenter. But there are also what we call multiple surnames. Be aware, I'm not talking about variants or different spellings. By the way, please don't enter everything in the same name field. Your documents and trees will look terrible. Use the alternate name section in Heredis that is designed for that. So let's go back to multiple surnames. Some countries, especially Hispanic countries, have several family names. Other countries allow us to choose. For example, in France, the law changed a few years ago, and we can now give our children both parents' names. Entering them isn't as simple as it looks. Why? Because a double name doesn't behave the same way. Both surnames need to be treated as distinct. With Heredis 2026, you can enter multiple surnames by separating them with a slash. Heredis then knows that there are two surnames and creates two entries in the index. Let's take an example. When I had the father, Heredis suggests the first surname. When you add the mother, it suggests the second name. For example, Jack Smith married Isabella Martinez Gomez. Her father, Alfonso Martinez Ricardo, and her mother, Sonia Gomez Rodriguez. In the index, I have the surnames Martinez, Gomez, and Ricardo as unique surnames. And the use is correctly Isabella for Martinez and Gomez. This applies to all type of multiple surnames, regardless of the person's origin. The second feature also adapts to modern families. In our ancestors' time, it was rare, but sometimes there were several sets of parents. Biological parents and adoptive parents, for example. With war, especially World War II, and blended families today, it's more common. It becomes important to be able to enter multiple sets of parents. With Heredis 2026, you can easily enter adoptive parents in addition to biological parents, legal guardians, foster families, and more. For example, Jack was adopted. Before his adoption, he lived with foster parents. This system is also suitable for adoptive families, foster families, guardians, and so on. The main couple, the one marked with a star, is the one displayed in the immediate family, the XXL family, etc. So you just need to switch the main couple to edit a tree for different type of families. For example, Jack's adoptive family tree. And another one with his biological family. You might wonder why not have both in the same tree? Well, because it would be unreadable. It would turn into a complete mess, with lines everywhere. So, for better clarity, the Heredis team decided to display a tree based on the main couple. You can change the main couple whenever you need. Make sure to choose the desired main couple before creating documents and tree charts, or before exporting. So, I told you you would embrace your history and maybe you don't see it yet. Don't worry, it's coming. Let's move to another feature: historical facts. In Heredis 2026, you have a history panel. It lets you view the historical facts that the primary person could have lived through. You get several categories, like leaders or a more general history category. The panel shows historical facts contemporaneous with the primary person. A black line appears if you have both events, birth and death, representing the lifespan. Of course, if the primary person doesn't have a birth or death date, it's impossible to determine which events they experienced. But historical facts are much more than just a panel. It's a full index to manage them, the Historical Facts Index. You can add events to existing categories or delete them, create new categories, and add specific events. For example, local historical facts or facts from a specific period like World War One. The possibilities are numerous. We'll see in a few how to use them. Assign historical facts to several categories. Add facts by choosing from existing ones. For example, King Charles is in leaders category but not in the history one. You can add him in the history one. You made your own categories? Save your work by exporting it with the dedicated button. All facts in a selected category will be exported. This allows you to exchange data with others' genealogists. You can also import categories if someone provides the file that they created. So fine tune your categories. Creating historical facts is good, but using them is better. Let's move on to the next feature. We've often been asked to create timelines, especially timeline for a person. You now have access to personal timelines. It shows events of the primary person, the one you have in the middle of the screen. There are two views, line or box format. Choose whichever you prefer. Show or hide cross events, the events of close relatives. You will see major events of your ancestor might have lived, like attending to his children's marriage, for example. Display historical facts to really link your ancestor to general history. If you create custom categories, you can put your ancestor into a precise context, not just a national scale. For example, Christopher Smith is a World War One veteran. Display the battles he have experienced by creating a special category. You then see the historical facts you added to your custom category. Heredis uses different symbols for single dates events versus date ranges. Some events happen on a specific date, others span a period. You can choose whether or not to show historical fact dates. The format follows the one chosen for the entire timeline. The box mode of the personal timeline lets you see custom flags you might have applied to events. For example, here I see World War I veteran for his brother Henry. You can choose to display only events with flags, those without, or those with a specific flag. Box mode also lets you display events location, and you can choose the place format. You can customize the color of the boxes by event type. For example, make birth boxes green, union orange, etc. Choose a readable colors. If too dark, you won't see the text inside the boxes. You can decide which event to display or hide. Uncheck an event and it no longer appears on the timeline. If you have many events, you probably don't need to show them all. For example, place of residence doesn't interest me if my ancestor always lived in the same town. You can, of course, export this timeline to print as PDF or a new feature as PNG image format. A great option to illustrate a book, for example. The person timeline can display a lot of information. Have fun exploring this tool. Next feature, the family timeline. It used to be called family chronology. With historical facts, it is now a true timeline, not just a chronology. It worked just as before, except we added the historical facts options. You still have groupings by name, by places, etc. Historical facts option works the same as the personal timeline. Export for printing is the same as what we just saw in personal timeline too. And we added it to the wheels. I forgot to mention you can now edit the title. Many of you asked to be able to change the automatic title of family chronologies or wheels, and now you can do it. This was also added to personal timeline. Another evolution? The wheels in Graphics tab have been updated to include PNG export and title editing, just like the timelines. The options were reorganized but remain the same as before. It's more convenient for small screens to collapse or expand option sections. This is helpful for everyone to know whatever an option affects the display or the content of the wheel. If you have multiple parents in ancestor and mixed wheel, you can choose which couple to display. That covers the main new feature of Heredis 2026. So, what's next? Well, you will also notice that the online archives now include a new section, Genealogy Societies. You'll find links to websites of the Genealogy Societies partner of Heredis. So if you want to find a group of enthusiasts, feel free to check out our Partners Society website. If you are a member of the board of Genealogy Society and want to become a Heredis partner, feel free to contact us. We'll gladly add your website in Heredis. Finally, the iOS and Android mobile versions have been updated to display multiple surnames and personalized flags. That's it for this new version, which focuses more on history and sharing knowledge about our ancestors' lives. It's up to you to discover it. As usual, you can try it with the demo version, the trial version. A quick reminder, if you open a Heredis file in the demo, Heredis copies the file before conversion. This lets you test while keeping your file in the previous format. So don't worry. The conversion is not permanent in the demo. Just delete the file name demo and your genealogy's name if you are not convinced. On behalf of the team, I wish you a wonderful discovery. See you soon.